My name is Michael Hayes. I'm 68 years old. And for most of my life, I've prided myself on being a quiet man who minds his own business, works hard, and never disrespects anyone. But nothing prepared me for the moment when my own daughter-in-law tried to turn me into a servant inside the home I once helped my son build with my own hands. And the way everything unfolded still feels like a story I never thought I'd live. It all began the day I moved in with my son Daniel and his wife Claire after my doctor advised I shouldn't be living alone for a while following a small heart scare, nothing major, but enough for Daniel to insist I come stay with them, just for a few months, until I got back to full strength. Or so he claimed, because from the moment I stepped into that house I sensed something cold in Claire's eyes, like she was evaluating how much use she could get out of me. And it didn't take long for that suspicion to turn into reality when, within the first week, she started handing me little tasks with a sugary voice. "Michael, could you fold the laundry?" "Oh, Michael, please wash the dishes since you're not doing anything." "Michael, take out the trash, you're closer to the door." All small things at first, and I didn't mind helping because I've never been the type of man who thinks chores are beneath him, but the tone was different, sharp, dismissive, like she was talking to hired help, not to her husband's father. And every time I glanced at Daniel for support, he just shrugged or pretended he didn't hear, too eager to keep the peace with his wife to defend the man who raised him. Things escalated one Saturday morning when I was sipping coffee, enjoying the quiet sunshine through the kitchen window, and Claire walked in, looked at me like I was a stain on her countertop, and said, "Since you're living here for free, you should start doing more around the house, change the bed sheets, mop the floors, clean the bathrooms." And I blinked because the list sounded less like chores and more like a full schedule for a paid housekeeper. So I calmly told her I wasn't comfortable doing that much, especially given my health, and she snapped, "Then maybe you shouldn't be living here if you can't contribute," before turning around and marching upstairs. And I sat there for a long minute staring at the mug in my hands thinking, my God, is this really what my life has come to? That afternoon Daniel came home from work, and instead of asking how I felt or checking on me like he used to, he quietly cornered me in the living room and said, "Dad, can you please just help Claire more? She's stressed, and you're making it harder." And I felt my throat tighten, because the boy I raised, who used to follow me around like a shadow, was now speaking like a stranger. And instead of defending me, he was defending the woman disrespecting me daily. Still, I swallowed my pride and said I'd try, because I didn't want to be a burden. And the next day I cleaned the kitchen and the living room and even helped fold laundry again. But Claire wasn't satisfied, and by the end of the week she was giving me orders openly, loudly, even in front of their two kids. "Michael, wipe the counters. Michael, go get the groceries. Michael, take the kids to school so I can rest." Until one evening she crossed a line so deep that something inside me snapped. She pointed at a pile of dirty dishes and said, "Don't just stand there, do your job." And the word job hit me like a slap, because I never agreed to be her employee, and I certainly wasn't living there to serve them. But I knew right then that arguing in private wouldn't be enough anymore. Not with Daniel blindly siding with her, so I quietly decided I'd wait until the right moment to speak. And that moment came on Sunday night during dinner. Claire had the audacity to ask me to cook earlier that day. I prepared the meal, set the table, and watched as they all sat down without even a thank you. And when Claire began complaining about her tough week while I served them water, like I was a waiter, she tossed a piece of bread aside and said, "Michael, after dinner clean everything, okay? You're the one with the free time." And before Daniel could nod along like a trained echo, I gently placed the water pitcher down and said, "Actually, Claire, I won't be doing chores anymore," and the room fell dead silent. But I didn't stop, because for the first time in months I felt my backbone reforming. "I've let both of you talk to me like I'm some hired worker," I said, my voice calm but steady. "But you seem to forget something important. You invited me here because you said you cared about me, not because you needed extra help." And Claire scoffed, muttering, "Oh, please stop playing victim," but I kept going. "I'm not playing anything. I'm telling the truth." And since we're being honest, you two don't pay for this house the way you think? And that got their attention instantly, especially Daniel's eyebrows shot up as he whispered, "Dad, what do you mean?" And I took a deep breath, leaned back, and said the words that changed everything. "I didn't just help you with the down payment 12 years ago. I'm still the legal co-owner. My name is on the deed. This house is half mine," and Claire's fork clattered onto her plate as she blurted, "That's impossible. Daniel never told me that." And Daniel swallowed so hard his face turned pale because he knew I wasn't lying. I explained calmly, "I paid off half the mortgage every year without telling you to, because I wanted my grandchildren to grow up in a stable home. I never said anything because I didn't think it mattered. You were family." And then I looked directly at Claire and added, "But if you're going to treat me like a servant, then maybe I should start acting like a homeowner instead." And the silence that hit that table was heavy enough to crush the air. Claire was trembling with anger. Daniel was frozen with guilt. And I wasn't done yet. I told them I would be moving out first thing in the morning to live in a small cabin I kept near the lake, a peaceful place where no one would disrespect me, and that I would be hiring a lawyer to review the property arrangements, since clearly they had forgotten I had rights in this home too. And Claire suddenly started backpedaling, her voice shaking as she said, "Wait, Michael, you don't have to leave." I didn't mean, but I raised a hand and said, "I'm not leaving because you asked me to. I'm leaving because I deserve peace." And for the first time, Daniel looked at me not as a burden, but as a man he had wronged, whispering, "Dad, I'm sorry, but apologies couldn't undo months of humiliation." I packed my bags at dawn, walked out without looking back, and by noon my lawyer had already sent Daniel documents reminding him of the joint ownership agreement. And I heard later from a neighbor that Claire broke down crying when she realized she could no longer bark orders at the man who legally owned half her home. As for me, I'm sitting now on my cabin porch, listening to the wind in the trees, drinking coffee the way I like it, and feeling something I hadn't felt in months: peace, dignity, and the quiet joy of knowing I finally stood up for myself. Because sometimes the lesson people need isn't revenge or shouting, it's simply letting them feel the weight of their own behavior when the person they tried to break walks away stronger than ever.